and moems. The forest was silent, a silence that cut like glass. Jason, the newly transformed vampire, smelled fear and blood mingling with the intoxicating scent of wildflowers. Linda, the warrior maiden, was in danger. Someone was pursuing her, their steps as swift and silent as a hungry jaguar. Were they vampire hunters? Or something far worse? A howl cut through the night, unlike any Jason had ever heard. A howl of pain, echoing an ancient secret. A secret that could forever change Linda's destiny and his own. What shadowy threat loomed over them? The wind blew cold between the forest trees, carrying the damp scent of earth and the metallic tang of blood. Jason, his vampire senses heightened, felt the pulse of danger throbbing in the air like a second heart. He ran, his muscles taut, every fiber of his being vibrating with the urgency of the moment. Linda, the beautiful Native American warrior with hair black as night and eyes that shone with the ancestral strength of her lineage, was in danger. He had seen her disappear into the shadows of the woods, followed by a dark figure, swift and silent as a shadow. It was a danger unlike any he had faced before. Vampire hunters were brutal, but predictable. This threat was shadowy, unknown. A chilling fear, different from ordinary fear, snaked up his spine. That howl. Jason still heard it echoing in his ears, a primal sound, full of pain and terrifying power. A howl unlike any werewolf howl he had heard in his short, intense existence as a vampire. It was a howl that spoke of ancestral secrets, of a powerful dormant force, a force linked to Linda herself. He had discovered in the few weeks since his forced transformation that Linda was not just a brave Native American, she was the heir to an ancient power, a power that her tribe's ancestors had carefully hidden from her, fearing it would fall into the wrong hands. And now, it seemed those wrong hands had found her. Fear for Linda mingled with his own fear, a strange anxiety that consumed him entirely. The love he felt for her, a love that blossomed as quickly as the wildflowers of the forest, was as intense as the insatiable thirst for blood that consumed him. He loved Linda, but his love for her was a danger. Being a vampire was already a curse. Loving Linda, a warrior possessing a power capable of destroying even him, was an even greater curse. But how could he leave her? How could he turn away from the bright flame emanating from her eyes, from the indomitable strength that vibrated in her every movement? Jason moved through the trees, his enhanced night vision showing him every detail of the darkness. He smelled her, a light, sweet scent, with the fragrance of forest herbs and the subtle aroma of something mysterious, something he couldn't identify. But it was fainter, more distant. The pursuer was fast, efficient. Who was it? A sorcerer? Another vampire? Perhaps more powerful than his master? Or something worse? Something belonging to a supernatural realm he didn't even begin to comprehend? A twig snapped under his feet. He stopped, still as a statue, listening to the ensuing silence. The air was heavy, charged with supernatural energy. He felt a shiver, not just from the night chill, but from a premonition. Something was very close. Suddenly, a shadow moved before him. It wasn't the shadow that pursued Linda. This was different. Taller, more imposing. A figure emerged from the shadows, its silhouette gradually defining itself under the pale moonlight. It was a man, tall and thin, with a gaunt, almost skeletal face, and eyes that gleamed with a sinister green light. He wore a dark cloak that enveloped him like a mantle of night. The man looked at Jason, a cruel smile spreading across his lips. It was a smile that promised nothing good. "You seek the Native American girl?" The man's raspy voice broke the night's silence, laced with a cold, calculating tone. "She possesses a power you don't even begin to imagine, little vampire, a power that can save or destroy the world." His words were like venom dripping into his ears. Jason knew this wasn't just a hunt, it was the beginning of something much bigger, a battle that would involve not only his destiny, but the destiny of the whole world. The fight for Linda's love was about to become a fight for his own survival, and the night, a harbinger of a storm, was only just beginning. The mysterious man, his green eyes gleaming like hellfire, watched Jason with a cruel smile. The threat in his voice was palpable, colder than the night itself. Jason felt a chill, not just of fear, but of a sudden, terrifying understanding. He wasn't just fighting hunters or other vampires. He was in the midst of an ancient war, a battle between supernatural forces far greater than himself. The fight for Linda wasn't just a matter of love, it was a matter of survival for everyone. The man continued, his voice hissing like a snake. Her lineage, the ancestral strength that runs in her veins, is the key. The key to unimaginable power, a power that can shift the balance between the world of the living and the dead. Jason felt a pang of pain, a strange connection to the mysterious man's words. He understood, with terrifying clarity, the weight of the power Linda carried within her, a power he barely began to understand. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the forest. It was a powerful sound, like the sound of ancient trees falling. Jason turned, his vampire senses on high alert. The dark figure that had been pursuing Linda emerged from the shadows, revealing a monstrous creature with claws sharp as knives and red eyes gleaming with savage fury. It wasn't an ordinary wolf. It was something far older, far more powerful. It was a werewolf, but unlike any werewolf Jason had ever imagined. It was gigantic, its fur as dark as night and its teeth, sharp as blades, bared in a ravenous hunger. It roared, a sound that shook the earth and lunged at Linda. Jason hesitated. He was a newly turned vampire, still learning to control his powers. Confronting that beast was suicide, but he couldn't abandon her. The love for Linda, so intense and overwhelming, propelled him forward. He threw himself into the fight, even knowing his chances were slim. The fight was brutal. Jason used his supernatural speed and agility to evade the werewolf's attacks. His fangs gleamed as he fought the beast, clawing and biting, using the supernatural strength of his new form to try to defend himself. But the werewolf was too strong, too fast. With every blow, Jason felt the weight of its brute force. He was being overpowered. Linda, amidst the chaos, sensed the approaching danger. She could feel the ancestral power, dormant for generations within her, awakening under the weight of the threat. It was as if the forest itself, with all its ancestral magic, was manifesting around her. With a cry, she rose and faced the creature. Then something extraordinary happened. A radiant glow emanated from Linda. Her skin began to shimmer, her hair rose, and an aura of magical power enveloped her. Linda's green eyes shone like emeralds, and around her an aura of light and power appeared. A war cry, strong and powerful, emanated from her lips. The aura enveloped her, strengthening her. The werewolf recoiled, as if sensing the force of nature itself against it. The fight shifted, the forest reacting to the awakening of the heir to the ancients. Jason, watching everything, understood that the battle for Linda's love was linked to the very survival of the forest, to the balance of the world. The night promised to be long and full of surprises. The wind howled like a hungry wolf, carrying the scent of pine and the metallic aroma of blood. Jason felt his heart, or whatever was equivalent to a heart in his new vampiric body, pounding in his chest. Linda, his Linda, was surrounded. The creature, a gigantic hairy monster, much larger and stronger than any wolf he had ever seen, was a beast with red eyes and claws sharp as razors. She fought with a bravery that inspired both admiration and fear, but she was losing. Every blow from that creature was a thunderclap. Every scratch, a burning brand on her skin. The mysterious man, the stranger with bright green eyes, watched from above, a cruel smile on his lips. He didn't seem to be there to help, but to revel in the suffering. Jason knew, with a certainty that cut like glass, that this man was the key to everything, a maestro orchestrating the tragedy. He was responsible for all of this. Jason lunged forward, ignoring the pain throbbing in his muscles, the thirst that consumed him. He wasn't strong enough to face the beast alone, but he had to try. He had to protect her. He leapt, his supernatural speed a flash in the darkness, dodging a furious lunge from the creature. His teeth, sharp as razors, found the beast's arm, eliciting a roar of pain. It was an unequal battle. The beast was far stronger, but Jason fought with the fury of a wounded lion. He had to help her. But Linda wasn't just a brave Native American. There was something different about her. A raw, almost supernatural strength. In the midst of the fight, with the creature about to deliver a fatal blow, she screamed, not a cry of pain, but a war cry. An ancestral cry echoing through the valleys, shaking the earth. And then something magical happened. A light radiated from her, intense, like the midday sun's glow. Her skin shone like molten gold. Her black hair danced around her like flames. Her eyes, once brown, now shone like two emeralds, radiating a powerful, magical energy. The forest itself seemed to react to this explosion of power. The trees trembled and the leaves fell as if blessed by a sacred fury. It was the ancestral strength of her lineage, the power the tribe had hidden from her for centuries, finally blossoming. The beast recoiled, frightened. The monster's roar turned into a low growl, full of fear. Linda's light was a shield, an invisible wall that repelled evil. She raised her hand, and a beam of bright energy, pulsing with ancestral power, struck the creature squarely. The beast roared, a sound full of pain and terror, and dissolved into dust, returning to the nothingness from which it had come. Silence fell upon the forest, a heavy, profound silence. Jason, exhausted, breathless, approached Linda. She was trembling, exhausted, but her eyes shone with a newly discovered power, a power that left Jason speechless. The love he felt for her, once a burning flame, was now a fire that consumed his entire soul. The green-eyed man watched everything, the expression on his face a mixture of astonishment and anger. He had lost control, but he wouldn't move. Not at that moment. The man cast one last look and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Jason and Linda alone in the dark forest, under the glow of the stars that seemed to witness the miracle that had just happened. Their love had triumphed, but the battle was far from over. Linda's secret, her ancestral power, was a threat and a promise of love and a threat that could destroy the world. The night was only just beginning, and dawn was an unknown for the lovers, now surrounded by even greater dangers than those of the night. The fight for survival, and especially for the preservation of their love, had only just begun. The silence of the forest was dense, heavy as a shroud. Jason, still breathless from the brutal battle, smelled the metallic scent of blood. His, the beast's, mixed with the intoxicating fragrance of wildflowers. Linda was beside him, exhausted, but radiating a powerful, almost palpable strength. The light that had emanated from her a short time before, an intense golden glow, had already faded, leaving behind only a faint warmth that enveloped her. She looked at him, her emerald eyes shining with a mixture of admiration and awe at the power she had just awakened. It was an ancestral power, a power that connected her to something much larger than herself. But the victory was ephemeral. The mysterious man, the green-eyed being who had watched from above, had disappeared into the shadows. His presence, though fleeting, had left behind a feeling of foreboding, a harbinger of imminent and unknown danger. Jason felt a shiver run down his spine. He couldn't quench his thirst for blood, but it was the uncertainty that burned within him, an almost physical anxiety that gnawed at him. What was that man? What was his objective? Linda's power was a key, but a key to what? And what if the destroyed beast wasn't the only threat? The forest, once the stage for a brutal fight, now whispered secrets amidst the night silence, a symphony of whispering leaves, snapping branches, and the distant, almost inaudible howl of a lone wolf. Jason felt a different fear than before. It was the feeling of being watched, a deep and unsettling fear that penetrated his bones, more distressing than the hunger that consumed him. Suddenly, Linda groaned, an expression of pain and confusion on her face. She touched her wrist, her slender white fingers trembling. She looked at Jason, her emerald eyes containing a mixture of terror and understanding. "Jason," she whispered, her voice weak. I feel something different. Something is inside me." Her hand trembled again, and a darkness, a dull aura, began to radiate from her body. It wasn't the golden light of ancestral power, but a shadow, something dark, sinister, that spread rapidly, enveloping her like a fatal embrace. The shadow pulsed, grew, expanded, absorbing the moonlight and engulfing her skin. It was as if something evil was taking possession of her, corrupting her. Her eyes, the radiant emeralds, darkened, becoming black as night. Her lips curled into a dark smile, a cold, strange expression that had never belonged to the Linda he loved. She looked at Jason, and an icy chill froze him to the bone. It wasn't Linda anymore. It was something different, something that strongly resembled the dark energy of the mysterious green-eyed man. A deep growl, unlike anything Jason had ever heard, echoed from her throat, a cavernous and sinister voice that filled the forest with the omen of destruction. She stood up, taller, stronger, her body emanating an aura of darkness, of evil power. It was Linda, yes, but something sinister possessed her, a dark, ancestral power that completely dominated her. And Jason, facing the cold and deadly gaze of the woman he loved, knew that the battle was far from over. The real fight, the fight for Linda's soul, had only just begun. And this time, he was alone. The forest whispered a funeral warning in the cold night wind. Suddenly, in a quick and unpredictable movement, Linda, or the creature that possessed her, raised her hand, and a beam of black energy, the antithesis of the light that had emanated before, shot towards Jason. He threw himself to the side, the force of the dark energy throwing him against a tree, the air escaping his lungs. He barely had time to get up before he saw Linda's dark figure, now monstrous, leap towards him, her eyes dark as night, full of cold, uncontrollable hatred. The forest fell silent, and the future, shrouded in shadows, promised a bloodier battle than any Jason had ever faced. The battle for Linda's love had just transformed into a fight for her soul and the fate of the world. What will happen?